Welcome to Roots and Routes, a docu-series proudly brought to you by Afroculture Media. In this series, we shine a spotlight on the remarkable journey of African descendants who are making a significant impact around the globe. We delve into the stories of individuals who, despite the challenges and diverse paths they've taken, remain deeply rooted in their heritage while paving new routes in foreign lands, from their roots in Africa to their routes across the world. Join us as we celebrate their passion, resilience, and triumphs that define their journeys.
Hi, Josephine.
Hello.
Before we get deeper into our conversation, I just want to say that having gone through your LinkedIn profile, having searched you online, and the charitable, stuff that you do, I'm really, really inspired by your journey. And I know our audience can't wait to hear more about it. And and everything that is exciting that is happening in your world. How would you like to get started?
I'd like to first thank you for reaching out, getting your first phone call. It was like I was talking to a friend who is actually in the next room in my house. So I can see that continuing right now because we connected on so many levels. Since then, I feel like our kind of missions are aligned really well, wanting to embrace our heritage and also embrace our new opportunities in this country. So we're kind of really blessed people to have these perspectives that are rich, and we're taking advantages of all of them. So that's what I like to say. First thing, that I'm just happy that I'm talking to you right now and we can continue this journey together.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Very gracious. Well, before we started this, I heard you talking to one of our team members of Afroculture Media, and you're talking about your kids. You said they're giants. So I know you've got a twin sister. So can you shed more light into your family background, being a mother, being a twin sister, just
something a little personal. And I don't mind that at all. I think stories are beautiful, and how do you tell a story if you don't go a little bit deep in our lives? And because we're full of experience, and I think storytelling is really impactful in so many ways. I always say that whenever you feel, or I feel like, oh, this is personal, the Bible, which one of my favorite books in the world, is that the Bible's full of stories. Some of them are so personal, like the David stories and all that. But if we did not listen to all these stories, the Sarahs and Davids, and I think we'll be missing out a lot on experiences. So there you go. So let's go personal a little. So yeah, talking about my kids, my son is gonna be 21 in February 24th. It's coming up very soon, and he's 6'7" tall.
No way.
I keep telling him he needs to open his own pants factory because the orders on his pants it's crazy, but he's a good kid. So yeah, Josh is tall. My daughter is 19. She's also really tall, but the combination of these kids' background is actually pretty interesting because I'm African, proud Rwandan. I mean, I've been in Canada almost 30 years, but wow. I mean, the Rwandan blood is in me. I was born in Burundi, actually, so when I tell a joke about I'm the most East African person I ever met, myself, is that a lot of my families are all over the place. Burundi, I was born, and my parents lived in Congo, and wow. My aunts lived in Uganda and Kenya, Tanzania, were all over the place. So again, my kid's dad is actually an Irish Newfoundlander.
Oh.
And they're known for the tallest Murphys in Newfoundland, probably, because they're like giants. So Joshua gets from Rwandan height and his Newfie Irish background height. So these kids are doomed, but it's a good thing. And so those are my kids, and then my twin sister and my big family. So I think that's a little bit of my personal little background.
Oh, well, that's quite interesting. One thing I picked from there is that most times when we're in the African gathering and we're talking about identities, and one of the last issues of I think the fall edition of Afroculture magazine, Dr. Shobo wrote something on identities. So you're talking about your son's mixed heritage and yours as well. How there's that part of his identity, how does he embrace it? How does that influence their sense of identity and aspiration being Canadians or African Canadians, if I can use that?
Yeah, oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Like I think I might have mentioned earlier a little bit is just embracing your heritage. I think it's very important because I came in Canada in '97, and if there will be a lesson to learn about culture and um, uh, embracing your roots and all that, I think would be plugging into your community. And it is very important. Looking at somebody with different backgrounds or where they have, they were born, where they grew up. I think when you embrace all of that, it enriches your perspective. Also, there is so much to learn and to connect with all those backgrounds. And I think it is to our advantage to have that because it opens up our mind a little bit more. I think it opens um, our reach in a sense of embracing other people's culture and diversity and inclusion. All of that comes from different backgrounds of a community. So, and that's why I encourage people to travel. This year I'm taking a team of Canadians to go to Rwanda. I take adults, hundreds of Canadians background and Americans. And when they come back, you see the difference. So I really encourage people to embrace all their backgrounds and use them for good.
So let's go back to Rwanda. Can you shed more light on your journey from Rwanda to Canada?
So my twin sister and I came in '97. Just getting here to us was a culture shock. I mean, it was new. Going way back, being born in a refugee camp in Burundi, and then moving to Rwanda in '94, and then being there for a couple of years or so, and then moving here. There was a lot of moving parts in someone's young mind, like a teenagers or so. So coming to Canada was actually interesting because the first week we saw two homeless kids. I think they were 18, two boys, and in Toronto. And I'm like, no way. There is no way you are homeless in Toronto. Because we're like, everybody's rich. Because that's what you get on television, the movies.
Yeah.
And I had just left, where the tragedy that happened in 1994, the genocide against the Tutsis, and then the economy was completely shut down. So there's still a lot of poverty. Rwanda has done incredible amount of work economically. We all see that. But then in '97 is still pretty rough. So coming here, I was like, no, there's no way. There's two young blonde boys on the street in Toronto. And you know what happened? We actually took them in our house. They stayed there for like 2 weeks, took them to Walmart, buy them shoes. And I'm like, I can't believe it. I was shocked. I didn't realize that there is poverty in this country. But I mean, it's not poverty. They had a little bit of a mental health crisis. But that was a culture shock to me to realize anywhere in the world, there are challenges. And so therefore, like that helped us to understand that it's about how you embrace and different interpretation of who you are and where you're going. But that was a shock to me. But of course, other good stuff that happens just helped us to adjust and this kind of good stuff.
Oh, good to hear. So I guess that's one of the things that motivated you to focus on your initiative on empowering children. And I know you have one or two projects that are made significantly to create a difference in these lives, like you mentioned previously. Can you just shed more light on your empowering initiatives and community projects?
So being here from '97, went to school and we started working. But in 2005, we went back to Rwanda to visit our home, our family, our mom and our siblings. And I think a few years in Canada made us forget what it is like to be in a developing country that needs so much help. So in 2005, we went back and I was shocked. There were still a lot of street kids at the time. Like I said, the economic growth in Rwanda is incredible. It's not the same at all in 2005. But then we were shocked to see children on the streets and just a lot of poverty at the time. So my sister and I were at this little church at the end of the service. I remember I was pregnant with Abby. Joshua was almost like a year or so. And after service, I see like almost 200 kids running through the gate,
Oh.
coming after service, and they were coming to eat. So they would feed these kids once a week on Sundays, the church service. So they're eating, literally fighting over potatoes and a bowl of rice and beans. It's as if they're not going to have another meal. Obviously, if they were getting a good meal once a week, that's why they couldn't get it in their tummy. And I was like, wow, I have to do something. And then remember I was thirsty, it was really hot. And I got water. It was like a case of water. And I saw those kids coming, can I have water too? Wamayamas in Rwanda, can I get water? And so I started pouring water in the little mouths in the front of me.
Wow.
And then I had like, I don't know, 20 on top of me, and I was pregnant. And the people are trying to chase them away because like, oh my goodness, it's a pregnant woman. And I'm going, oh, you're worrying about me, but how about them? Like the little 3-5-year-olds, cracked lips. And that's where I started Shelter Them. That day, I said, okay, in Canada, I'm doing good. It's been a few years, and I contributed to Canadian society in different communities where I am, because that's my home. But I need to do something that connects me to home. When I came, we made dinner, 2 hours. Thought maybe we'll collect a couple $1,000s to send and continue with the church feeding program. We made $11,000 in 2 hours or so. And I was like, wow, definitely God is telling me, keep going, girl.
Yeah.
And then we registered Shelter Them so quickly, like boom, boom, boom. And then that's how Shelter Them started. And it's not about aid, because I think that's the problem with international development. Millions of dollars go to developing countries, but yet poverty is still there. I believe more in creating jobs, empowering people so they can become self-sustained. And that's why Shelter Them is really focused on education, community development, so people can become independent and be able to get a job, reinvest in the same areas we're trying to help them at. So that's how Shelter Them started. And the mission is really to end poverty from its core.
So just a question from the top of based on what you just said, how do you get funding for this, and how has people's response be, or organizations' response been to this and the sustainability of your initiative? So if like somebody viewing wants to be part of it, how do they go about it, and the accountability and the transparency? Because most times people have this notion that most of these, what they call them, most of these NGOs, charitable organizations, are just gimmick, that there's a lot that goes behind the scene, and that credibility behind what you're doing. How can you speak to that?
I can understand that, why people be worried about getting involved in international charities, because you're not there to control it and to see what's happening. So, and that is that one reason why when I started Shelter Them with my twin sister Jocelyn, we wanted to create a model that is transparent. And so here in Canada, we work with different people, and at 100% of all the people we work with are actually volunteers. Most of them are like retired people, or people who really want to make a difference. Now, it's good to be paid, and obviously you can't work a full-time charity without getting paid. However, I wanted to make sure that public money, so if you give me $40 a month to sponsor a child or to build a school, which I'm actually got 2 schools running right now. I have a kindergarten that's being built. It's going to open soon, and a primary school. Is that 100% of that public money, we wanted to make sure it goes to the actual project, not the overhead or expenses. And so therefore, it's easier for people to trust it. Because if you see our financials, then you can see how our monies operate. So that's how what we really tell people is public money goes to do the specifics. We have a structured restricted fund and non-restricted fund, and we should take people to Rwanda to see what the work is doing. I have a full-time job, and so is everyone else. So I wanted it to do that. It's not easy to use that model, but it has the credibility. I wanted to keep it that way. Not easy, but doable, clean and sustainable and easy.
So good to know, like I'm always inspired when I see people that are passionate about their dreams or about social impact, and they go for it, and we see the results, and it's sustainable, it's transparent. So it's actually encouraging, and I would applaud you and your sister.
Thank you.
You spoke to a topic that myself and some few friends, it's some conversations that come in, about refugee and stuff like that. And I remember making a statement or starting a book. When people talk about refugees, they don't understand that the wars people fight are without guns. The outcome of those wars, or the people that actually become these refugees, are actually not the ones that actually like take the guns and fight the war. So we should look beyond that word. And how can you relate this to the whole experience of, like the shared experience of Rwandans, if I can use that word, the Burundis, and the people engulfed in this experience?
There are, a lot of periods of time where in Africa specifically, because that's where I'm from, where people have been displaced for many different reasons. I was born, like I said, in Burundi, in a refugee village, because of what happened. And I I think at times people want to avoid to be political because politics is just frustrating, and you're not sitting at the table to make decisions, but yet you know what's happening, it affects you. So I think at a certain level, we need to be engaged in what affects us. So to some degree, we need to pay attention to politics. Like I can understand why somebody does not want to wake up every morning these days specifically to listen to what's happening, because you're just going to be stressing you out. But if we're all wash our hands and don't pay attention to what's happening, don't want to be engaged to it at all, then all of a sudden you've been kicked out of your house, or you have somebody who you care about hurt, then you start thinking, why is this happening? Why? But you're not a part of it. So I'm not saying we should all be political and sit at the table, but we need to pay attention to what's happening to our people, to our governments, to our leadership. So then we have a voice, because one way or another we're affected. So I think if it's all driven by unity and by social, political, economic development. Now, I want to say about development, that means you're advancing. You're advancing in a way that everyone included, advance together. If you're in that mission and vision, then it's good to pay attention to politics and contribute to it as well. Because a lot of us have been displaced or moved around, so we're affected. So pay attention to what's happening around in our leadership. I'm here in Canada, I'm Canadian. I like to pay attention. That's why voting is important. Some people who don't vote at all, that you sit down and say, what's happening? Why is this, municipality, federal, why is this leader? You did not vote against him, we did not vote for him, so it's important, especially minority, the vulnerable communities like us. That's why I'm a part of RCHC, which is a Rwandan Canadian Healing Center, and it is a hub that we're building that's going to help Afro-Canadian communities to make sure that they have the services they need, they have cultural relevance to their traumas. If you want a therapist, you want somebody who does not only have these degrees, but also has experience. They can relate. So all of this, it has something to do with being refugees or being in different communities and in a different countries. Just paying attention a little bit of what's around us and be involved to some capacity.
Okay, I think you're going ahead of
sense?
me. It seems like you know the questions I want to ask you.
Yeah, I'm just so around in these topics so much now that I feel like it's just all coming to my head all at once. It's just exciting though.
Yeah.
I'm happy, yeah.
So I'm just going to touch on it. I just wanted to ask you that because I read your profile and you said it's now that you have this initiative, or you're on the board of the Rwandan Canadian Healing Center. So my question is, how does serving on the board of the Rwanda Canadian Healing Center mean to you? And how does it reflect your commitment to your home country?
It is definitely something that was important to me to be involved with when the Kizito, who is the founder of RCHC and who's also a friend, he was walking from here to Ottawa, Montreal, to raise awareness about PTSD, trauma caused by different situations, including wars and all of that. And definitely his mission was aligned with what I want to be involved with in the community, especially in community here in Canada. And so definitely it's aligned with who I am, because once upon a time I was a refugee. And you know what happened a few months ago or a year ago or so, when there's a refugee crisis here in the GTA, and there were some people sleeping on the streets. A lot of them had a lot of African background, and it was absolutely not acceptable to see that in this country. I think you're moving away for whatever reason. I don't know what happened to you, why you're here. So many reasons why people find themselves in this country, which has been accepting a lot of refugees. Actually, Jocelyn, my twin sister, works with refugees. She's a refugee
Case officer?
consultant, or I forget what she has a francophone, les francophones. Anyways, so then that's why RCHC thought, okay, we need to do something about this and advocate for these vulnerable communities. And that's why last weekend before last, we had a lunch with partners who are the Aka Village, is Afro-Canadian housing hub that we want to see if we can build at least 300 units, affordable housing units for the Afro-Canadian people. Hopefully 1,000 units. So hopefully we're hoping to get money, to get grants to do that. But again, it's just creating a space for people who will get help and the services that they need.
They need, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your questions, because a lot of things are running in my head right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, I want to come in the case of how do you balance your passion for your home country with your efforts, fostering this growth and positive change in Canada, like in your community in Canada? How do you balance that?
I think the balance of me connecting myself to my heritage as a Rwandan person, also Canadian, is that I embrace both cultures very well. And I think it's important to be connected to my home by contributing to education and bringing Canadians, Americans to Rwanda to visit the beautiful country, and also working here in Canada with RCHC. And also, like I said, I work with the Ministry of Education in accessibility for the deaf-blind communities, from kindergarten to university. Sometimes I produce Braille, sometimes the alternate format, like PDF, Word, and all that. So I think that's my way of contributing to Canada, embracing the new opportunities as Canadian, and also continue connecting to my background and my roots in many different ways. Like, I mean, I bring coffee here, which is a way for me to contribute at home for the coffee farmers, and also for Canadians, like a good cup of premium coffee. So those two, I think it's a good connection.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it seems you've had a peek into what I have planned for you. Anyway, I know you're an entrepreneur as well, so that brings me to, questions on, the inspiration and the vision behind Vote Cafe.
Votre Café store is so interesting. Even when I remember how I connected to Votre Café, I just laugh, and it makes me so happy. So I was going to Ottawa to a youth convention, which was amazing. This is one way of Rwandans, connecting with themselves through their different events and gathering. And so I remember Jocelyn and I checked in at the hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning. We were so tired, we had to set up for shelter them because I was looking for connections. Actually, that day, I went home with a beautiful, amazing grant, which is building my kindergarten school in Rwanda right now through Bank of Kigali, Beka Foundation. Thank you, Beka Foundation, for doing that. And so we were desperate for 2 hours and no sleep. And we were looking for Starbucks or anything, any coffee, please. And then there was nothing. So we get to the event, tons of people. And then my sister walks over. She goes, "Joe, you have to try this coffee. It's amazing." And I'm like, okay. And then so I had a sip of coffee, of the cup of coffee, and there was no sugar, no milk. I usually try not to, but a little creamer, And I was like, no. I don't need sugar. I don't need milk. This is really a good coffee. Where does it come from? So we walk over to the exhibition or a stand at the table. 2 gentlemen, and we're like, "Where is this coffee from?" They're from Rwanda. I'm like, no way. No way. I'm like, okay, tell me more. To not go on with the story, because I can tell you more, is that they work with about 95% of women in the farming co-ops, and fair trade, good premium coffee from the volcanic mountain,
Wow.
which I visit all the time. And I have been trying to start a business coffee in this country, in Canada, for over 10 years. But I needed something that has a quality, quantity, standard, fair trade, all of that. And I couldn't because it was hard, right? But they had everything. And he happened to be my brother's best friend.
Oh.
All the Rwandans, the government, everybody told me I need to look for Albert. So I didn't have time. I got busy. And then he is the Albert I've been looking for a year. He's a family person.
Wow.
And then that's how we now co-own Votre Café, because it is literally everything I have been looking for. Like I said, Shelter Them is a not-for-profit, a charity that wanted to support kids until they become independent adults. We have about 11 kids in university right now. But at the end, I wanted to create jobs in Rwanda and in Africa. It is the way to end poverty through jobs. So imagine those people who make beautiful coffee. We pay them good wages, and they reinvest in their children's education and housing. And then also Canada get business because we roast our coffee here. So Canada and Rwanda, they both win. It's a good fair trade, and that makes me a good, proud Rwandan Canadian.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good story. Oh, wow. So are you saying that all the beverages at Vote Cafe, they all have a special story behind them, or does it symbolize, the blend of tradition and modern, in your journey?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Votre Café right now, we're new, and but we're looking to become a global brand, and so hoping to visit the retail stores and to give us an opportunity. Also, I know in Canada right now, Canadian government is talking about hopefully they're not just trying, they're doing it, is start trading with Africa. It's about time. It's overdue.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening right now in the United States affecting us, and Africa is the future. They don't only have human resource, because we have a lot of young people who are super educated, have capacity, and we have incredible amount of resource. And so we lack nothing in the next 20, 30 years. The only countries are going to be left to feed the world is Africa. So why don't we start right now, please? and give the opportunity for this amazing, beautiful coffee to come here and to start going in a retail store. All of them. Come on, Costco and all of that.
Yeah,
Let's have a bag of coffee from Rwanda, from Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Africa, definitely.
You're almost turning me to a coffee lover.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so on a lighter note, I see, like, I notice a lot of Rwandans, you know, they have this high regard for your president. I just want to know, like, the secret behind the, you know, naturally everybody should be an ambassador of wherever they come from.
Yes.
But I see in particular, like, most of my Rwanda friends, when I go online, when I read, you know, even your president himself is always, you know, speaking well of, you know, the citizens, the Rwandans and diaspora. I just want to know, like, is there something, can you shed more light on that? And, 'cause I love it, I admire it, you know, I just want to know, like, why the rallying around is because of the shared experience? Is it like a new trend? Is it like an innovation, or is there something we should expect from Rwandans all around the world?
I can understand it, because it's incredible, it's unreal, it's fascinating, it's inspiring, even for me as a Rwandan person when I see it, to be honest. Like I said, I've been here in Canada almost 30 years. So I'm not probably more Canadian than anything else. But like I say, I'm proud to be Rwandan. Seriously, when I look at Rwanda, so let me just give you a little bit of a quick story, personal story. When I left Rwanda in 97, after what has happened in the past, it's not a joke, but this is what I told my mom. I'm never coming back to Rwanda. I'm never coming back to Africa. I'll need to just go far away to start fresh with my life. I don't have to remember anything. I love you, my family, but I'm not coming back. You can come and visit me. Again, I was a kid and I was a little resentful and angry about what's going on. What is all of this? Like, I know we have been colonized. I know, you know, for somebody who is RCHC, which I understand the trauma and that it runs way deeper in us. But come on, can we wake up now, take over and lead, and not let the old influence keep us, you know, down? After a few years, Rwanda was just incredible, growing economic. You have like 60, 80-year-old women who want to go to school. They have a vision, they have a mission. They talk about unity. We don't want to talk about ethnicities and all that started after the second colony, Belgians, that issued the identity cards, because Rwanda was only split in administrative way, from the farmers, the kettles, and the pottery people. But when it became an ethnic issues from way back, that's what people start getting into trouble. So now Rwanda does not want to look at that. We're Rwandans, we're build a country. So every year, every time I go to Rwanda, I am so proud of who they are, what they're doing. Now, when I look at the president, and I see the leadership of Rwanda, somebody is doing something right. There is no way that country is looking the way it looks without a good leadership. It's not possible. When you see a clean country like that, when you see everyone speaking about self-reliance, unity, growth, somebody's behind it. And I honestly believe that he's doing an amazing job, because it's just evident. And that's why people love him. He talks about people, he shows up. And if he thinks you really want to build a country, he will listen to you and he'll work with you. He gave me 5 acres land. I mean, with the government, he's not himself, but he listened to my mission, what I want to do, and I want to contribute to Rwanda as a diaspora. And he literally made it happen. So how can I say that he's not doing a good job? So that's why people love him or love the government leaders, because they're really for people. And the Canadians that I take to Rwanda, they witness that. I'm getting messages from actually some Canadians are telling me, I am going to retire in Rwanda. Wow. My therapist, who comes from Cameroon, she told me she's actually moving to Rwanda to retire. So I'm going, somebody is doing something right, so we're gonna give him the credit he deserves.
That's
I
admirable.
really do.
I think I want to retire to Rwanda too.
Let's go. You just come and see and judge it for yourself. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see what's happening, to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's we will hold you to your word. We'll
Yes.
come visit. So, we've been talking so much about, everything entrepreneur, being a community social impact person. So now let's talk about something fun. What's something fun about you? How do you unwind after a busy day? After, the marathon you've done, how do you unwind?
I like to say that maybe a good cup of Rwandan coffee and a good conversation, specifically votre café. That is my brand.
You're gonna pay for that advert.
I know. But no, seriously, I take a cup of coffee in the morning, but sometimes in the evening. Actually, votre café, because it's such a good coffee and it's a good premium organic coffee. I can drink it later and actually still sleep.
As a proud Canadian,
Yes.
what treat do you give yourself?
There is something that's really big in Canada. We all know that. Maple syrup. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm not big on sugar, but a good maple syrup. So warm it up a little.
Sure.
And I do have a huge connection to actually maple syrup because one day my sister and I received the cutest letter I've ever seen in my life. We opened it and it says, "Hello, brown pear." And we start going, huh? Brown pear.
Yeah.
And we read it. And it was handwritten. And it was signed by a gentleman by the name of Easterman. But he started the letter by, "Dear brown pear." Listen, we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah.
I like to say that.
Yeah.
To find out that there was a gentleman who lived in Lindsay, Ontario, which was like, I don't know, few-hour drive from Toronto. He was donating about $500 a month to shelter them from his maple syrup trees. Just the way he started his letter. So we decided to call him. "Hello, Mr. Easterman. Guess who it is? The brown pear." And we're like, calling us a brown pear, it's pretty bad, right? We're just making fun of him. But it was just, people who just so sweet. But definitely the brown pear, that was funny.
Yeah. Catchy.
And,
Yeah.
It was kind of like the brown pear. So we visited him. And maple syrup, I think that's my long story of how I unwind or my Canadian little treat.
Yeah.
Maple syrup.
That's good.
Good one.
You spoke briefly about your twin sister, and I just wanted to ask one question about being a twin. So can you share a light-hearted moments, like twin moments? Do you do things together? Do you laugh the same way? I know you kind of look alike. So
some twin moments. When we moved here in Canada, our English was so bad, but we're like, okay, we have to get this. We have to learn English. So we used to go to a restaurant, and then my sister would be like, "Excuse me, I like to have some chicken." No.
Oh.
And then I would be like, I'm not related to her.
No way. You look alike.
So people are like, huh? Just, those are just the funny moments that Jocelyn and I would never forget that. And the other time is when we came, the first, I guess, few weeks. So we took a walk from our house and then we got lost. We forgot how to get back. And then we called a taxi, and the taxi came. And so we're like, yeah, we don't know. We turn left and right and in the word, but this is our address. I think our address was called Wonder Road. Isn't that ironic?
Wow.
Wonder Road, it misses an R.
Oh,
That's how we remembered it. So this taxi guy comes over, goes, "Okay, girls, I understand. I'll take you where you're to your house." It's like, so where's the house? Tell me the intersection or anything. Like, yeah, we know. It's actually close to Tim Hortons. And he's like, "Which one?" I'm like, "There is more than one." He was dying laughing. He goes, "Right, we have more than one Tim Hortons in Canada?" Eventually he brought us home, but yeah, just, being twins, we always make fun of ourselves and messing up on people because they can't tell us apart.
Oh, wow.
I love being a twin. It's cool. It's fun.
This has been a very lovely conversation, and I feel like going on and on and on and having this chat with you, but let's looking back and going forward, reflecting on your journey, what is that one lesson that you have known or you wish you had known when you first arrived in Canada?
I think I would have connected with my community rather sooner than later, because I think when you're connected with your community, there are some challenges um, that they can relate and help you with. And that's why I keep saying that it's important to connect to your roots. I think it's good to embrace the new opportunities. 100%. That's why for me, I wanted to learn English and learn it well, and connect to my Canadian opportunities that I have here. But also, yeah, connecting to your community as soon as you can. Keep the language, keep the food.
Yeah, the food.
And I know it's cold in this country,
Wow.
but don't hide and get out. Get out with people who speak your language and just keep it up.
We have to integrate, so we have to adapt and adopt the culture of Canada. Yeah,
Yes,
because we're
yes.
all Canadians. What legacy do you hope to leave for your children and for your wider community? And how do you plan on to continue leveraging on your shared experience and your shared vision to create positive change?
I think my legacy for me is to take all I have learned from different places I've lived in my life, and pick good values from each culture and apply it to my life and my children. Be empowered and empower other people. Unity. Unity is very important, because when people become disconnected, that's where people start struggling from depression and isolation. And so unity is important.
So good to hear you share and being the vulnerability, the transparency, and we really do appreciate it. And do you have like a last word, or like for our audience, do you have something to say? It could be something out of whatever you've said, but just for the Afroculture Media audience.
I think the name Afroculture Media is a powerful tool to help people and allow people to connect with each other. And you doing it here in Canada, and also allowing us to share our stories, our experiences, it's really powerful, and it connects us all. And so I believe that all this community, if we keep this synergy in interconnection that you're creating among these communities, if we stay connected this way, I think it will be powerful as Afro-Canadian diaspora people to influence not only where we are, but also to influence people from back home. So stay connected, stay united. I think that's my message for everyone.